Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our June 2026 OC HMIS user meeting. If you haven't already done so, please enter your name and your full agency's name in the chat box for attendance. We do use this information in our reporting, so it's very important to add that information. On our agenda today, we have the HMIS participating agency schedule. We have agency audits, data element highlight, monthly income and sources, additional agency access, duplicate client profiles, Behavioral Health Services Act, BHSA compliance, project performance report, Goal 10 overview, project performance report, emergency transfer plan reporting, training and resources, CES city prior and current living situation. And then we have our survey, and then we'll leave time for Q&A and then office hours. If you have any questions during the course of our user meeting, to better organize your question, the HMIS Help Desk receives during the meeting, our team recommends that you submit your questions through the Q&A option. We request that you keep your questions general and related to the topics discussed in the meeting. Agency-specific questions are best supported through our HMIS Help Desk ticket submission, so that our team is able to further investigate and provide assistance for your request. This is our HMIS participating agency schedule. This is a general overview calendar of things that are going on throughout the year for HMIS, such as HUD required reports, Orange County required reports, and then Orange County requirements such as our agency audits and HMIS user recertifications, and then our lead meetings such as our user meeting today and our data and performance management meetings. We wanted to give you a sort of breakdown of the upcoming events that are happening for the next few months. And for our project performance reports, we are currently working on our emergency shelter, street outreach, and transitional housing. We will begin our audit scheduling this month. In July, we have, again, the emergency shelter, street outreach, and homelessness prevention project performance reports. And in July, we should have several agency audits scheduled, but again, we will continue scheduling throughout the month. And then the HMIS user recertifications. And then again in August, we have our emergency shelter, street outreach, and homelessness prevention, and project performance reports, and again, our agency audits and our HMIS user recertifications. Our 2026 agency audits are going to be conducted this month. We will be reaching out to your agency 3 weeks prior to available audit meeting dates so that you have a few options to schedule the audit and have time to prepare for the audit. Please be on the lookout for our email to schedule your agency audit in June. We will be scheduling audits throughout the summer and fall months to accommodate all agencies. And I do recommend when you do receive your scheduling emails or tickets that you do select a date as soon as possible that is convenient for your agency. Data element highlight, monthly income and sources. 4.2 income and sources. Data is collected about the head of household and adults. Project type is all HMIS projects. The same is true for the funding component. It's all HMIS project types. And the collection point is at the project start, update, annual assessment, and project exit. This element is collected to determine whether households are accessing all income sources for which they're eligible, to allow for analyzing any changes of income between project start and project exit. For more information, please refer to the following knowledge base article, Income and Sources. And as you can see on the right-hand side, we have an example of what the monthly income sources looks like. HUD recommends that when you collect the income information, that you go through all the individual income sources that are listed rather than asking the client to state the income sources they receive. So that way you can verify that each income sources was reviewed and that this is what they are actually receiving income from. Common errors. There is confusion between SSI, SSDI, and retirement income from Social Security. Supplemental Security Income, SSI, refers to disability benefits that are only available to low-income individuals who have never worked or haven't earned enough work credits to qualify for SSDI. Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI, is available to workers who have accumulated a sufficient number of work credits but are unable to work due to a medical condition. And then retirement income from Social Security is available to workers, employers, and self-employed who've paid for benefits with their Social Security taxes from their working income. General assistance listed as other income. General assistance, also called General Relief, is a cash assistance program funded by the County of Orange. It provides temporary cash to aid eligible adult lawful residents who do not have custody of any minor children and do not qualify for federal or state-funded cash programs. Use General Assistance field to report general assistance or general relief. No income entered as other income, 0. No other income is only source of income not listed. If a client has no income, use no as a response. Do not use this field to indicate the client has no income by placing 0. So again, if the client doesn't have income, at the very top, you're going to select no and not use other income and then put a 0 in. So we are going to do a demo on this particular data element. So please give me a moment while I switch over. So as I said, we are currently on the OC training website. And so this is all fictitious information. As you can see, I have the information preloaded that my client Jessica is enrolled into the COC funded permanent supportive housing training project. I have filled out all of Jessica's information regarding their prior living situation, their disabling condition. And then if you come down here to monthly income and sources, you can select yes or no for the source, or the various client does not know, client prefers not to answer, or data not collected. So in this case, I've selected that Jessica is receiving general assistance, and it is $150 monthly. So when you enter in the dollar amount, it's going to total all of the different income sources together as one into this total right here. Something to keep in mind when a client has an active enrollment and they do have a change to their income, say for example, Jessica is now earning an income. You would not update the enrollment page here. What you would do is you would select a status assessment and use that to update the client's information. Also, when a minor turns 18, you will also use the status assessment to update the 18-year-old's income. Even if they do not have any income at all, we do recommend that you use the status assessment to update that information when they turn 18. And then when you select exit for the client, again, it's going to populate all this information. And say, for example, Jessica's general assistance was updated to $300. Oops. Once you hit enter, as you can see, it will update the total income. And then when I exit the client, Jessica, I'm not going to save and close here, but this information will be updated and saved. And then we will have a record in Jessica's reporting for her monthly income that there was a change from $150 to $300 for general assistance. Right, I will be transitioning back over to our slide deck, so please bear with me.
Good morning, everyone. Additional agency access. When users are given access to HMIS, they are set up with a primary agency affiliation that identifies them as staff employed by that agency. In some cases, users need access to projects at agencies that are different from their primary agency, such as access to coordinated entry system or users at agencies that are subrecipients of grants managed by another agency. To be given access to an additional agency, the agency that manages the project the user needs access to must submit the HMIS account update and testing form to request access on behalf of that user. County of Orange additional agency access has a little bit of a different process. Before coordinated entry system access can be requested, the user needing the access must complete the CES module from the HMIS training courses site. The agency administrator at the staff's agency must then submit the HMIS account update and testing form to request the County of Orange additional agency access. Once the user's account has been updated with additional agency access, the additional agency will appear under their agency dropdown in Clarity. When the user first logs in, the dropdown will always default to their primary agency. To enter data or run reports under the additional agency, the user must select the agency dropdown and click on the agency's view that they need. More information about additional agency access can be reviewed from the Additional Agency Access Knowledge Base article linked on the slide and the Google Docs. Duplicate client profiles. Users are advised to search HMIS to verify if there's already an existing profile for the client before creating a new HMIS record. A client may end up with multiple records as subsequent staff or agencies create their own record without searching for an existing one. For example, when staff search by name only, there might be spelling variations between the names that could result in the same multiple records for the same individual. If a duplicate profile is discovered, the agency administrator should submit a help desk ticket requesting a client record merge. Please identify the primary and duplicate UIDs in the message, and please do not disclose any PPI, such as the client's social security number, the last four of their social security number, or dates of birth. Please always use the unique identifiers when identifying the duplicate profiles. Agency administrators can review the Duplicate Client Records Knowledge Base article for guidance on submitting deduplication requests to the help desk. A process to help reduce duplicate profiles in HMIS is to run the Duplicate Clients Report, also known as the DQXX 110, from Clarity, which generates a list of potential duplicate client records. The system looks at the following fields to determine if the records are an exact match. It reviews the personal identifying information fields from the record profile screen, such as the name, social security number, or date of birth. It also looks at data quality fields on the profile screen, such as the quality of the name and qualities of the social security numbers and dates of birth. Agency administrators are encouraged to run this report on a quarterly basis to review any stuff at your organization that may have created duplicate records. And we'll be reviewing a demo on how to run this report and review the information to determine if a ticket submission for a merge request is needed. Before reaching out to the help desk with a deduplication request, agency administrators must confirm the records represent the same individual. Please complete one or more of the following steps. Review and compare profile screen identifying information such as social security numbers, dates of birth, and name spellings. Review identifying documentation available in both records to compare and contrast for similarities and ensuring that they do represent the same individual. And reach out to other agencies or staff working with the clients and confirm the records match and represent the same individual. And now we'll move into our duplicate client report demo. If you'll give me just a moment here, I will share my screen and we'll go through the steps of running the report and understanding the information the report provides. You should be reviewing the trading site screen. If you can verify that you are, appreciate it.
Yep, we can see it.
Thank you so much for confirming, Diana. For today's demo, we'll be going ahead and reviewing how to access and review the report. So to access the report, click on the Launchpad icon on the top right of the screen. This will open a menu of navigation options. Select the Reports button. The Reports option will bring you to the report library. On the report library screen, find the drop-down titled Data Quality Reports and click the drop-down. From the list of report options, find the Duplicate Clients report and select Run. Once viewing the report screen, ensure the report format is set to web page. It should default to that, but if it's not, go ahead and change it to web page. This is our recommended report format. And we're not going to run the report just now because it does take a little bit of time sometimes to pull that information if there are a lot of clients under your agency. Today, I have a screenshot of what that report would look like, and I will go ahead and drag it over and enlarge. This is what the report will look like once it finishes running. It will provide you with a list of clients that are enrolled under your agency who may have duplicate records. And again, it bases that off of the profile screen information, such as the name, the social security number, dates of birth, and gender, as well as the quality of that information. So you can see here data quality, social security data quality, and date of birth data quality. So the report flags what it thinks could potentially be a duplicate client account based on the data entered on the profile screen alone. Please make sure to look closely and determine if these records represent true duplicates. As you will see here under Gary Jones, he has a very similar date of birth to Bart Simpson, but they clearly don't represent the same individual, even though they have the same date of birth. So that's a false positive. We would just disregard that. However, if you take a look at um, Phoenix Wright, these are likely the same individual. The name spelling is slightly different, but they have the same social security number and the same date of birth. So these are likely an example of a duplicate record. Frequently, you'll see clients with the same name and date of birth, but potentially have missing or conflicting social security numbers. With Taylor Swift, our first example that's bolded here, has a social security number of 3167 and a date of birth of December 13th, 1989. But if you look a little bit further down, such as the example right underneath it, there's another Taylor Swift that has the same date of birth, but a differing social security number. And that's the case for a couple other records as well. So in Taylor's case, there have been likely a lot of duplicate records created for that individual. They have the same dates of birth, but differing or conflicting social security numbers. So what we ask is that you please review documentation under the client's record to confirm, that these represent the same individual, determine the correct social security number or dates of birth or other PPI, such as name spelling, before reaching out to the help desk. So again, just please make sure there are true duplicate profiles. Identify the primary record that all of the other information needs to be merged into, and make sure that the primary record has the correct social security number, date of birth, name spelling, and other PPI.
Service Acts compliance. The state recently shared requirements for a BHA to be added into HMIS. So if your agency is transitioning to BSH housing intervention funds, you would need to make sure that you reach out to our HMIS team to notify us so that we can support to update your program so it's in compliance with the state requirements. So any existing projects, this update to your funding source must be completed on or before June 30th. For any new projects that will be receiving or operating with BSH HI funding, you will set up your project on the first day a client is served by that program. There are upcoming office hours, so we wanted to share those meeting links with you that the state and their TA is hosting. So please review those links on our meeting link doc that was just shared in the chat. Thank you.
Everyone, I'll be doing an overview of PPR Goal 10, which is ensuring that clients do not fall back into homelessness after being housed. More specifically, this goal looks at a 2-year period, which aligns with HUD's system performance period. And the goal is ensuring that clients are not returning to the homeless system after they've been placed in permanent housing destinations. And for homelessness prevention projects, it's making sure that clients do not enter the homeless system after exiting. And Goal 10 is applicable to all project types, and the target thresholds are as follows. For street outreach, emergency shelter, and homelessness prevention, it's less than or equal to 10%. And for transitional housing, rapid rehousing, and permanent supportive housing, this is less than or equal to 7%. And this goal looks at clients who have exited the project to a permanent housing destination during the reporting period. And at the very bottom is a visual of how we calculate this goal, which is taking the number of leavers placed in permanent housing who return to the homeless system, and then dividing that by the total leavers exited to permanent housing during the reporting period. And on this slide, we have a screenshot of a spreadsheet for Goal 10 corrections. And we don't currently have a report for Goal 10 in Clarity due to sharing limitations as it requires a whole system export. So we shared a spreadsheet to your agency's Dropbox for our project performance reports. And this goal looks at our system as a whole and looks at a client's pathway. For example, if a client exits an emergency shelter, it's seeing whether they enter back into the system and access a different project type, or if they are permanently housed and stabilized. And so when you review the spreadsheet, please filter the returns to homelessness column to yes, and review the client's project start and exit dates, which you can see boxed in red in the screenshot, and make updates in Clarity if any of the dates are incorrect. And also review for any overlapping enrollments that need to be fixed. And additionally, review client's destination and updates to ensure all the information and clarity is accurate and reflects the client's outcome and your project operations. And lastly, verify the household type. If the head of household does not have a date of birth, it's going to reflect an undetermined household type. And this is going to be highlighted in the spreadsheet as well. So please verify that information and make any corrections in Clarity. And we also wanted to go over some data elements that are important to review for Goal 10. And so on this slide, we have a table showing how to determine the most accurate dates to record an HMIS for the project start date and project exit date. So first, we'll go over project start dates by project types. And so for street outreach, the project start date should be the date of first contact with the client. For emergency shelter, it should be the night the client first stayed in the shelter. For transitional housing and safe haven projects, it should be the dates the client moves into the residential project. For permanent supportive housing and rapid rehousing projects, the start date should be the date the client was admitted into the project. And admitted means that all of the following are met, that the client meets criteria for admission, indicates desire to be housed in the project, and is able to access services and housing through the project. And lastly, for homelessness prevention or other service projects, the start date should be the date the client first began working with the project or the date the client first received a service. And then for exit dates by project type, for street outreach, the exit date is determined slightly differently depending on the project the client is referred to. And so if a client is referred to an emergency shelter or transitional housing project, the client should be exited on the date they enrolled into that project. If the client is referred to a rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, or other permanent housing project, the client should be exited from the street outreach project with an exit date of the client's housing move-in date in the project they were referred to. For emergency shelter and transitional housing projects, the exit date should be the last day of continuous stay in the project before the client transfers to another residential project. And for permanent supportive housing and rapid rehousing projects, the exit date should be the last day the client receives rental assistance or supportive services, or is provided rental assistance. And then lastly, for homelessness prevention, the exit date should be the last day a service was provided or the last date of a period of ongoing service. And we have the housing move-in date data element, and the purpose of this field is to record the date a client or household physically moves into a unit after being enrolled in a permanent housing project. The move-in date is entered on the head of household's enrollment screen and must be updated when the client or household moves into a unit. When reviewing housing move-in dates for PPR corrections, one thing to check is that the move-in date occurs either on or between the project start date and project exit date. And additional information on the housing move-in date field can be found in our housing move-in date knowledge base article. And that's all for Goal 10. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'll begin by going over the project performance reports. The Transitional Housing Project Performance Reports will be published on our website in the upcoming weeks. Current and past project performance reports can be found on the Orange County HMIS website by navigating to Reports and then Project Performance Reports. In addition, corrections for the Emergency Shelter Project Performance Reports draft data will be uploaded into Dropbox this week. The project performance overview is a helpful document that provides important information regarding the project performance reports, including the thresholds for each goal, as well as our publishing schedule. Emergency Transfer Plan. Beginning this fall, HUD will require agencies with ESG-funded projects to implement an emergency transfer plan, otherwise known as an ETP. Emergency transfer plans are written policies that define the process victims of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking can take to transfer from an unsafe housing unit into a new, safer housing unit. Reporting will be conducted through the SAGE HMIS reporting repository, and ESG recipients will provide information about their emergency transfer plans within their CAPER submissions. HUD Form 5384 outlines all the relevant reporting information for ESG recipients. Training and resources. The OCHMS team will be hosting a critical dates and overlapping enrollments data quality training webinar on Friday, June 19th at 1 p.m., and the meeting information is included below. Please review the OCHMS calendar to find upcoming HMS meeting and training materials. In addition, I wanted to let our team know that the meeting materials for our agency administrator training webinar can be found on the OCHMS website by navigating to HMS Help and then HMS Recorded Trainings. In addition, our team wanted to let everyone know that the HUD Exchange website has been updated within the past quarter to provide more information about specific project manuals, these being the COC, ESG, Comparable Database, VA, VASH, and Hopwell program manuals. We highly encourage any of our partner agencies with these types of projects to check out these manuals for more information.
We have a guest presenter for our meeting today, James Bacon, who is the Coordinated Entry Systems Specialist from the Office of Care Coordination to support with sharing updates to CES. James, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is an update on how the current living situation assessment for CES will affect how the CES community queue is used going forward. So on the front end, the assessment will look the same, but how we use one of the fields will change. So effective now, this change was effective June 1st. We're going to be using the most updated current living situation assessment to reflect SPA and inform some of the other fields on the community queue. This is only applicable if the current living situation has a geolocation selected. Then it would change what SPA the participant shows up in based on the city that's selected. It is possible, if you don't have the participant's exact location, to just put in the city, basically. But if a current living situation assessment is not added or there isn't a geolocation on it, because that's an optional field, we will continue using the city prior to CES enrollment. That's in the enrollment screen to reflect the CES participant SPA, which was basically the only thing that was used prior to June 1st. So because of this, unless you are trying to update participants on your caseload, to update which city they're in, spend the most of their time in, or are receiving CES services and want to be in that spa. Unless you're trying to update that, you don't have to go through and make any changes. Of course, all the other guidance we give about the current living situation that you should be doing one every 90 days. Also, when you begin someone's CS enrollment, and if there's a change you want to record, um, all that guidance is still the same. And that was about it for this matter. Thank you.
HMS User Meeting Survey. The HMS team invites users to complete our HMS User Meeting Survey. The feedback from the survey is used to select topics at our monthly user meetings. We greatly appreciate any topics or ideas you'd be interested in reviewing in our upcoming HMS monthly user meetings, and the meeting survey link is also included down below.
Okay, that concludes our agenda for this user meeting. We are now in the Q&A portion of our meeting. If you haven't already done so, please enter your name and your agency's full name in the chat box for attendance. Any meeting materials and recordings will be available on our OCHMIS website, and we will send out a wrap-up newsletter regarding that. So if you have any questions regarding the topics we covered, please go ahead and enter them in the Q&A box.
Thank you, everyone. I don't see any questions, Diana. We can move to office hours, but just wanted to know everyone in the chat. James did include a message. If there's any additional questions, feel free to reach out to the coordinated entry. There's an email in the chat for your convenience.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a great day. Our next user meeting will be on July 1st, which is the first Wednesday of July, and our user meetings are on the first Wednesday of every month. So thank you everyone. We will be transitioning